What's good people, Sluice Be Bright, and I am back with a brand new video. Today we're working on episode 2 of creating a drop like. In today's episode we're going to be creating a drop like Maddix. Just like to point out before we get into it that there are so many artists that I want to create drop like. There's probably about 20 to 30 artists that I actually want to make drops like. So if there's a specific artist that you all want me to make a drop like, don't worry, I'll probably get around to it in one episode because there are so many. Maddix was the top voted comment in the last episode, so that's what we're going to be working on in this episode. So without further ado, let's get straight into it, and we're going to be starting off with the kick drum. So this is what we've got for the big room kick. I followed quite a similar structure to what Maddix did in his song Trabanka. He done a masterclass a couple of years ago, so I just followed quite similar to what he done in that, just to get that Maddix feel. So we've got 4 layers here. We've got a punch, we've got another punch with more of a subtail. We have a harmonic layer, and then we have the sub layer. So starting off with the punch, it sounds like this. Nothing too crazy, just an EQ boosting the high end a bit just to give a bit more click. Next layer is classed as a Maddix kick. I'm not entirely sure where I got this from, but it's just a kick with a basic sine wave sub on it. I'll see I took the low end out, otherwise it sounds like this. Quite aggressive, but got a nice attack and a nice sub. So next we have a harmonic layer, just a simple big room kick from the Jackson Vega sample pack. Now what we've done here is we've taken out the sub because we don't need it. We've done quite an aggressive EQ, taking out some of the mids at 200 Hz and boosting the upper and high mid frequencies. Gets rid of that, some of that muddiness and a bit more hissy harmonics. And then we have an LFO tool, so it removes the attack because we don't need it, and it also does a dip at the end. So without the LFO tool, it sounds like this. That's what we want. And finally we have the sub bass, which I used Silent for One to use to create this. It's just a simple init preset, init saw. Nothing too crazy. We're boosting the F sharp 1 and the F sharp 2 frequencies. That sounds like this. Straight away that gives it a lot more power. Then we're adding a fab filter Saturn, which adds a lot more. And I'm doing even more boosted in the F1, F sharp 1, and then taking off all the high frequencies. And then we have a LFO tool. And all 4 layers together, the big room kick sounds like this. So that is a big room kick. Next we're going to moving on to the drop leads. So it actually took quite a while to get a solid drop lead down, like melody wise, sound selection wise and all that, but this is what I have come up with. So in his track Trabanka, he has a similar thing to what I've done here. It's just like a mid bass. It's from Silent. It's this one right here. It's from the revealed sample pack sound bank. I just tweaked a little bit. I turned the retrigger off, turned the DJing up a little bit, and mess with the cutoff. I turned it to a bandpass filter type, and it sounds like this. That's the melody, and with the processing, got a Camel Crusher with the British Clean, EQ, no tech character, another EQ, a Fruity Flanger to give it more of a weird vibe, Sound Godizer, Stereo Enhancer, and an LFO tool, and that sounds like this. And then what makes it interesting, same as what Maddix done, makes a pitch bend automation, and he does all types of tricks and stuff like that with the pitch bend, and now it sounds like this. So that goes with the big room kick. I've also forgot to mention, I just added another layer here. I felt like if I played a kick without this layer, it seemed to lack power. I felt like it needed an extra layer. The original kick sounded like this, which sounds fine, but I've added this layer here. It just adds the extra harmonic layer. So with the big room kick with the mid bass sounds like this. That's that. And now for the drop leads, this was the tricky part to get it sounding like Maddix. I've got 4 layers here. Lead 1 is from Nexus, we're leading lead like we do. That sounds like this. Lead 2, again, is from Nexus, it's a lead called Recoil, it sounds like this. Lead 3 is from Vengeance, it's a lead EDM Saw 1, that sounds like this. And lead 4 is again from Nexus, it's a lead called Lead Noise. It's just got a lot of white noise layer with a bit of tonality to it. That adds the wide power to the synths. Altogether they sound like this. And for processing, each lead is got its individual processing, nothing too crazy, just an EQ, stereo shapers. And then we go to a lead bus, which has an EQ, level tech character, Fab Filter Saturn, another EQ, OTT, Fruity Multiband Compressor, Pro Keys 3, and LFO tool. And then we link this bus to another bus which we do the reverb with, and then we'll have another 2 more EQs and a sausage fanner just to beef up the sound a bit more. So before the processing it will sound like this. Yeah, also you see this one here, this mid layer. I've turned it 50% merge, so it's a little more mono to cover that. And then this one has a stereo shaper, which is delayed to the left. So that's that. And then finally we have the drop stab, so we have this one. And then we have like a weird synth stab. And then we have like another stab to give it a bit more power. And this one sounds like this. And all 3 together. And then the leads, the mid bass, and all that sound like this. So that's the drop leads. Next we're going to move on to the drop drums. So for the drums, we haven't gone too complex. We mainly focus on the drop fill here to enter the next section of the drop at the end of the first 8 bars and then the second 8 bars. That's the main thing we focused on. But as usual, nothing new here, it's just simple claps. Nothing crazy. Another thing I'd like to point out is everything needs to be quite tonal, as in like the song is in F sharp minor, so things like this, which I showed in the last previous video with the Bass Jackers one, how I pitched it down to F sharp. And I've done the same technique where you duplicate it and use the original attack. Stuff like that. It just helps the track flow better when everything's in the same tone. So same as here, this snare, I pitched it up 1. Because you can hear, now that snare is in F sharp. If you can hear that with the sub. I also got a tonal perk here. Again, I pitched it up 3 semitones. Next we have a small drop fill at the end of the first 4 bars. And then the very important bit where I spent quite a bit of time on is this pre-drop fill here. There's quite a few layers here. So we start off with a simple snare. We put the metronome on. Gives it a nice little bounce, and at the end we have that snare again. And then we have this cashmere dubstep fill thing. Pitched it down 5 semitones from B to F sharp. With that sweep. A cowbell again pitched down into F sharp. So all these layers together sound like this. It's a quite an interesting feel. Gives it a nice contrast from the leads. So if we play just the drums and the kick, it sounds like this. So that is that, and then finally we're going to move on to the effects. So here's what I've got for the effects. Nothing too crazy. Again, it's the same for pretty much for every track. It's just how you want to arrange. Pretty much every song has some sort of crowd effect just to fill it up with white noise. Pretty much essential these days. It fills up the track nicely, makes the drop sound more full. And then we have 2 downlifters. Quite different sounding, but they complement each other very nicely, including the crowd effect. So that's that. Next, for the second 8 bars, just to keep the energy going, I've added this energy booster from Kashmir, just pitched it up 4 semitones. This keeps the energy going for the second 8 bars. Then what I've done here is I've added a sub drop. And then that effect there, that complements the feel very nicely. So that is pretty much that. So that is the effects, and that is pretty much the whole drop. I'd just like to point out as well, Maddix is an incredible producer. He's a lot more levels above me, so this is my just interpretation of his style drop. So I know it's not going to be perfect, but I tried my best, and other than that, this is the final result. Enjoy. So that is that. As you can see, I had to bounce it out due to CPU errors, all that FabFilter Saturn and all the processing caused the CPU to go higher. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, helps the channel grow, makes me happy. As usual, I'm giving this FLP out for free when this video reaches 150 likes. So as soon as it reaches that milestone, this FLP will be given out for free. Tomorrow I've got a demo video coming. It's meant to come today, but I've done this. So Thursday I've got a demo video coming. Friday I've got a new episode of Sabres from start to finish. And other than that, I'll speak to you all very, very soon.